unstoppable, bonded by our passion, undeniable, brothers till the very end. Just a bunch of outcasts, only meant for slaughter. But we will overcome this if we can band together. Look into my eyes, grab a hold of my hand. Remember who we are, brothers till the very end. Remember who we are. Never thought I'd be alone, always thought I'd have a home. One by one you fell away, countless stands from digging grave. What was once inseparable has become forgettable. Brothers till the very end, stripped of all its meaning. And now it's just me. And now it's just me. Distant fragments, shattered pieces. Lego. Well, good evening, folks, or good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. Quincy Kane Morris here, and this is live stream number 29. And I meant to do this introduction at the beginning before the song, sorry. After doing 29 streams, I'm in a habit of playing a song first and then speaking, but I'm actually planning to change that. I'd like to speak first because I'm trying to do more topical videos, so I don't want you guys to be like, wait, he's not talking about anything. He's just playing a song, you know. But yes, we are going to be talking later on. We're going to be talking about instrument arrangement, particularly for metal and rock. So if you're watching the replay, I'll have a timestamp where we start talking about the topic. But I'm going to play another song so that, you know, we can just kind of give people a chance to come in. But let's have a look at what's going on at the chat. Stan, I see you there, and thank you for the confirmation. I always appreciate you letting me know that it sounds good because before I was setting up this stream, I was actually having some audio issues. Also, Stan, I always appreciate you always being so friendly with others in the chat, but I have a feeling that whenever you see someone comment and it's that weird, like it's not English and it says .vent or something like that, pretty sure that's some kind of spam bot. I don't know what that is, but I've noticed a few times in our streams that we'll get people commenting like that, and I wish they were viewers, but unfortunately I think it's some kind of a weird spam thingy. But appreciate you reaching out to any newcomers who join the stream. But anyway, Stan, how are you doing? And I had meant to ask a question. Before I was going to dive into that song, I was going to ask, if you could join any band, what band would you want to join? If there's a pre-existing band and you were like, you could just, they said, hey, we need you in our band. And like, what band would you want to join? For me, I don't know if I've ever really thought about that. Like if I could join a pre-existing band, let me think. Man, that's a good question. Let's see. Dagnabbit, see, there's another one. Pretty sure that's a spammer too. I was like, hey, someone else joined the stream. And it's like, nope. My first thought is Chevelle, because they used to be a 3-piece, and they're a 2-piece. So, I mean, maybe they wouldn't mind another guy. Like, that'd be a cool band to join. Who else? If Extol would have me, Extol would be a really cool band to join. Those are maybe my top 2 as far as like pre-existing bands, and even Extol, they've kind of been on hiatus for a while, so I don't know if they count. Flyleaf would be a cool band to join, but they don't exist anymore, so that's unfortunate. If they ever got back together, I'd like to be a part of that band. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if I'd necessarily join, every band that I like. There's a lot of bands I like, but I wouldn't necessarily want to be a member in the band. But so it's an interesting question because it's like, well, who's making music that you enjoy, but who do you feel like you would be a good fit with them, and you kind of like their lifestyle and personality and stuff. And it's an interesting question. Yeah, thanks, Dan. Yeah, I ask the deep questions here, but yeah, you might have to think on that one. So while you're thinking on that, I do think I'm going to dive into another song here. So yeah, and just kind of waiting to, hopefully we'll have some more people show up. Not really sure, but we'll see. Yeah, we're going to go into another song here. This one is called A Place to Call Home. But again, as I'm playing this, let me know. What band would you join? What pre-existing band would you join if you were given the opportunity?
Of me, concealing what I believe. The potential is obvious, but I'm too scared to set it free. We break down the walls, show me your heart. This is the place where I fall apart. You told me place to call home, someplace where I would not feel alone. I promised a destiny, but I won't trust what I cannot see. So mother will tuck me in to this coffin and bury me. Break down the walls, show me your heart. This is the place where I fall apart. You told me of a place to call home, someplace where I would not feel alone. You showed me love. I
Thank you. Appreciate that, Stan. Yep, Stan, who's gotten to join our Hilltop band lately, which is kind of interesting because, originally it was just a youth band, but even some of the members who were, uh, in the youth group, a lot of them are getting older. Some of them have already graduated from high school, and some of them are about to graduate from high school. And so it is kind of this weird transition phase. Like, I don't know, Hilltop, I'm not sure that Hilltop is, or I should say the Hilltop band, I'm not sure that it's still a youth group band. I mean, maybe it'll return to that at some point, but really, I mean, with the circumstances, it's just a good band. I'm just glad that it gives everyone an opportunity to use their talents and stuff. Yeah, that's definitely really cool, and definitely happy to have you a part of that. It's funny, for some reason, church bands, I've never really thought of them as bands. I don't really, especially, well, one, it's not like we write songs or anything like that. We're just, I don't know. It's more like we're volunteers. We can all play music, and we're all just kind of filling a role to bring music to the church, to the congregation and stuff. So, but I know what you mean. We're still a band, but not like a band that, obviously that has like a career or something in music. That's right, Stan. You were the combo breaker. Yeah, but hey, I'm not exactly a teenager myself, although I am, I guess, technically the mentor of the group and stuff. But no, like I said, I mean, if we were being strict about it, I mean, I don't know. Even the ones who have graduated, they're still teenagers and stuff, so they could be in it. But if we were strict about it, we could say, all right, well, you've graduated, and you can volunteer to be a part of Salt and Light, the other group, but Hilltop is reserved for those in the youth and stuff, and then try to bring in others. But I think because of the pandemic, I mean, we had a good bit of youth show up, this past Wednesday, just last night and stuff. But it's not like consistently the same amount showing up, and I don't even know how many of them can play instruments and stuff. Some of them are still learning, so I think it's just something that's kind of evolved. I don't even know if it's proper to call it the Hilltop band. It might just be best to call it the 9 o'clock band or something, because we play the morning service. But definitely glad to have you. I think you're doing a great job, and as long as you keep doing what you're doing, you'll get even better. So. Yep, we do have a great mix. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about instrument arrangement before I go into the next song. And actually, the song I just played, I'm going to use that as an example. That's a song of mine called A Place to Call Home. And we're going to look at what the instruments are actually doing in that song. It's pretty fast, a pretty upbeat song, and so it's actually fairly simple compared to I have some songs that are more complicated than that, and some songs that are more simple than that. But I think this is a good one that it's got some little complicated tidbits in there, but it's not too overwhelming. It's a fairly simple arrangement, so I thought it'd be a good one to look at. And especially, I did put out a video a while back called The Roles of Each Instrument. And a lot of people found that video to be super helpful in just understanding like how the instruments interact with each other, how they affect each other's part. Like you're not just all playing to your own beat. Everyone's playing together. The bass is being influenced by the drum beat, and the drum beat is supporting the chord changes of the guitar, and the riff of the guitar might inspire certain things, and it's got to make sure that it's not competing with the melody and stuff. So there's like different things for how the band can support itself. But even in that example, I kind of just used like the same chord progression and just kind of played it as a verse and played it as a chorus, like kind of a little more contained and a little bigger. So here, we're not going to go through the whole song, but I do want to go through the verse, the pre-chorus, and the chorus, and sort of show how the roles evolve in different sections of, throughout the song and stuff. Now, I was hoping to have another mic set up. I was actually, that's why this stream started a little late, because I was trying a new setup where I was going to set up a mic right next to my computer, because that would have been very helpful. But I don't have that figured out yet. For some reason, it was somehow affecting the audio, and it was sounding really weird on my test stream, so I'll have to try that out again. But we're going to dive into it. So for that first verse, kind of like the intro, the main riff goes like this. Okay, so usually when I write a song, hey Logan, looks like Logan joined us. We're just now getting into a topic. We're talking a little bit about instrument arrangement and stuff, so. Oh, and thanks, Stan, I appreciate that. All right, so usually when I write a song, and I think that's the thing, is whenever you're playing a song, it's one thing to learn someone else's song, but when you write a song, you have to start somewhere. You don't write the guitar, the drums, and the bass all at the same time. You got to start with one. And for me, usually I start with the guitar. So that song really started with that riff. Now, the drums could just play on beat. The drums could just play 1, 2, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2. So, like something like that. But, you can hear, like it's playing on beat, but it's not really playing with the guitar. That would be an example of like the drummer not really listening to what the guitarist is doing. If you look at that riff, there's a lot of accents on that upbeat. All those hits right there, up, 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 those are all on the upbeat. So for the drums to play that snare on the upbeat, that snare is in sync with what the guitar is doing. So that rhythm matches a lot better. Let's see. You kind of get the idea. So I'll even play it real quick. I'll play that intro so you can hear it. So hear how that snare, pop, pop, that clap sound of the drum, how it's in sync with what the guitar is doing. Okay, so that's an example of the drum beat being influenced by what the guitar is doing, by the guitar riff. And by the way, I should mention, there's kind of a difference between, how you might play along with a riff versus how you might play along with a chord progression. This is not a chord progression. This is a riff, which is kind of like a musical idea. A chord progression, would be something more like, let's see, like in the, kind of like in the guitar solo, that's a chord progression. Yeah, that's a C, and then G sharp, and then, what is that, C, D sharp. So that's a chord progression, and there you might play more of a steady beat, but when there's a riff is usually accenting certain spots, and so you can kind of tweak your drum beat to sort of accent those spots as well. So that's kind of what's happening there. And then the bass, again, when the bass is playing along with the guitar for a riff, usually it's going to play the same thing, it's just going to play the root note. So the bass is just going... It's just playing that root note, of what the guitar is doing. Now, if there was a chord progression, that kind of gives a little more freedom for the bass to do some other things that we'll talk about in a moment here. So let's have a look at the verse. Okay, so I actually want to take this moment to compare verse 1 to verse 2. And also, let me just say real quick, if you have any questions at any moment, feel free to ask them. If you have a question, ask it. So, that riff, once again, kind of inspired by the guitar. Notice there's those pauses there. Now, here's what's kind of neat about that. So, there's a difference between playing in sync and playing on beat. Now, oftentimes, those are going to overlap. You know, playing in beat and playing in sync might be the same, but sometimes they're different. For example, you could play on beat, but not necessarily be in sync with what's going on around you. Maybe, you know, the other instruments are playing sort of these counter melodies, or they're kind of playing these other melodies, and the beat, having that downbeat, is sort of keeping everything, giving context to everything so that it makes sense. You know, I think of, well, a good example would be the song The Eye of the Tiger. So when the song kicks in and it's playing that drum beat, you know, everyone's kind of playing, let's see, you know, it's kind of playing like in between the beats a little bit. You know, so the drum's playing a beat and it's giving context to all those random hits. Now, at the intro, when it does the psh, 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 that's playing in sync. Now everyone's playing in sync. Psh, 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 psh. But if you just heard that on its own, there's no pulse. There's no time to it. That's what a beat does. A drum beat gives a pulse. So, you know, without it, you might not know what the timing is. But as soon as you add that pulse, that's hard to do, to beatbox and play at the same time. But hopefully that makes sense. So you kind of have two choices. This riff here, where it's pausing, there's kind of two ways you could play that. One, the drummer can play a beat, which gives context to the timing there. That's what's happening in the first verse. Or the drummer could play in sync with that. You know, the drummer could do kind of match what the guitar is doing. And that's the difference in this song between the first verse and the second verse. So let's listen to the first verse. Listen how the drums are kind of playing. The drums are sort of playing a beat that gives context to that riff. All right, and then let's listen to what it does in the second verse. In the second verse, now it's going to play in sync. And you can hear those background vocals coming in there. But notice how the drums, the first time they were playing, and that snare hit was landing on the 3. 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3. So on that 3 beat, 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a pop, 1 and a 2 and a pop. You know, so or one. No, I counted that wrong. But yeah, on that 3 count, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 1. All right, that's really hard to do. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's kind of what the drums are doing. But in the second verse, the snare is ending with the guitar riff. Pop, pop, right on that last hit. So the snare kind of cuts it short. It feels like there's sort of this sudden stop, you know. So that's the cool thing to do with drums, and that's what you want to think about as a drummer. Whether you are a drummer or if you program drums, you know, when you're writing a song, you know, let the drums be influenced by what the other instruments are doing. So in some situations, you might play just a regular beat. In other situations, you might try to kind of match what the instruments are doing. Another example of that, the riff, it's got some stuff going on up here on the neck. So that's the first part. And the drums just kind of kind of stay on the beat. It kind of does like a double hit on the snare. But then the second time, when it goes lower, the drums kind of follow that with a fill. Kind of like that. Listen for that real quick. Hear how that fill? It was in sync with what the guitar was doing. You know, so that's the other thing, you know, as a drummer, all the fun stuff that you get to do, you look for those opportunities in the music. So if the music's doing something kind of neat like that, it's like, oh, I can write a fill that kind of follows, that sort of plays in sync with that. And then as far as what the bass is doing, the bass is just playing the root notes. So nothing too crazy happening there. And then this is also where the vocals come in. So let's see. This prison inside of me. And the vocals, I mean, really, you just kind of write the music and you want to make sure that it's not too busy. Like there's some stuff happening here, but there's nothing going on that's competing with the vocal melody. You know, it's not like there's another melody happening here. And notice the melody has a pattern. First, it's kind of low. This prison inside of me. Then it goes up higher. Concealing what I cannot see. I forgot my own words. This prison inside of me, concealing what I believe. There. Concealing what I believe. Then it goes back down to the same melody as before. The potential is obvious. And then it goes even higher. So it's kind of like an A, B, A, C pattern. But I'm too scared to set it free. And also the ending there, the riff. There's a squealy there. And listen how the drums accent that. So the drums are going to play on beat. It's going to do like a ting. I think it does the bell at the same time as that squealy. So listen to that ending. Yeah, right when the guitar goes, the drums go, you know, kind of like follows it, you know, and ends on that bell. So that's the thing you want to think about as a musician. Like when you're hearing the other instruments do things, think like, how can I let that influence my part? What can I do that is sort of in sync with what they're doing? You know, I'm providing a beat, but I'm also playing in sync. And the reverse is true too, you know, like sometimes the drums may inspire a guitar part. And sometimes the guitars, you know, like right now the bass is basically just playing the root note, but we'll see in a moment here how the bass is kind of like a bridge between the guitar and the drums. The bass is going to follow the beat that the drum is providing, but it's going to use notes provided by the guitar. So it's kind of, the bass is sort of drawing influence from both sources. So I think the next section is kind of a good place to look at that. So let's have a look at the pre-chorus and see what's happening here. Okay, so that was the pre-chorus, and cool, Logan. I'm glad that it's making sense. So let's see here. So the pre-chorus, it's actually the same riff as the verse, but it just picks up. Instead of pausing, now it just continues. And this might be more, what I'm about to say might be more about song arrangement more than instrument arrangement. I'm trying to focus on just the instruments here. But I will say, I think a good thing to do with song arrangement is to have, different timings throughout the song. The song starts very fast, with that upbeat snare, and then it goes to more of a downbeat. And now we're picking up again. So not quite as thrashy as the intro, but it's more upbeat, and it's got more of that drive to it. And I think that just makes for more interesting music. If you're playing a song and you're just hitting that snare on the same beat for the whole song, to me, that can drag a little bit. Sometimes that's appropriate, but I like my songs to be dynamic and to kind of change up from section to section, so you feel like you're going somewhere. All right, so the guitars, like I said, pretty much doing the same thing. They're just kind of building up. But again, as the guitars are picking up, and listen to that, it's got those two hits, pop and pop. Let's see how that affects the drums. So the drums we know are playing, but if I remember correctly, they might play those two hits. So instead of just doing 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, I think the drums are going to hit the snare on those two hits, kind of like that. So let's listen to what the drums are doing. Yeah, you hear that? So, the drums could just play 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, and that would be on beat. But what makes really good song composition, what makes a band sound really good, is when they're listening to each other. They're not just playing on beat, but they're listening to what the other musicians are doing and allowing it to influence their part. So, yeah, I wrote this, but, as the drummer, I was hearing that guitar, and so I let that change the beat. I hit that with the snare, 1 and a 2 and a, it's pretty much the same beat. I'm just adding an extra snare hit in there to match with what the guitar is doing. Let's see if there's anything else. And let's have a look at what the bass is doing in that section. Now, you might have to listen pretty hard to hear the bass. It's definitely there. Now, if you're, this is the backing track, so the guitar is only in the left ear because my guitar is in the right ear, but since I'm not playing, if you really want to hear the bass, if you've got headphones or speakers, you just listen to the right speaker and you won't even hear the guitar, so you'll just hear the bass and the drums. Now, here's what's interesting about this section. So the bass is kind of following the guitar, the guitars, still hitting that root note, but now, because of that upbeat, those two hits right there, the bass can accent those by hitting a note itself. The bass, one way the bass could do that is by hitting an octave. So hear the difference? So the bassist could just hold out that note. Show me your heart. This is the you could do that. That would work. But what makes it more interesting is when the bass is being influenced by what everyone else is doing. So again, the drums are doing that pop, pop. The guitars are hitting that pop, pop. So it's let's let the bass hit the pop, pop. So one way it could do it is by hitting the octave. So it's playing the same thing, but it's accenting those two hits. And that's tough to do. With my fingers. I could do it with a pick, but so that's one thing the bass could do. Now, what I've actually got it doing, rather than hitting the octave, I actually chose to hit this note. Yeah, that note. I'm not sure why, but I chose to hit that note. And I think it was just an opportunity to choose something a bit more melodic. But yeah, so what the bass is actually doing, I'm going to go ahead and play it on the guitar, but then I'll play it again and listen to what the bass is doing. The bass is doing this. Okay, that's what the bass is doing. So notice it's hitting that note that's accenting the same upbeat that the other instruments are accenting, but it also does that little walk up. And really, that's kind of something that the bass is good for, is sort of walking up to notes. The bass is kind of known for doing that. For you've probably heard the term, or maybe you've heard the term walking bass. So it's like when a bass sort of starts on one note and then kind of walks over to the next note. That's something very common to do on bass. It doesn't always work, but there's a lot of places where it's pretty appropriate. And so even if the other instruments aren't necessarily doing that, for some reason the bass can kind of connect chord progressions, jumping from one chord progression and sort of leading or walking over to the next one. So that's kind of what's happening there. So we're accenting, and then we're going to walk. We're walking up, to that next one. And then walking again. Bum, bum, bum. Walking again. And then building up. Bum. And then pausing. They all pause in sync at the end there. So let's listen one more time. See if you can listen to the bass doing that. And then walking up. Now, Stan, you said the break is a chance to shine and to add depth. I think that's what you said once. Which break did you mean exactly? Did you mean the breaks in the verse? Or did you mean at the end of the that little break there? I'm not totally sure which break you're referring to, but I was going to talk about that. Notice they all stop, and then they're all going to kick in on the chorus, which, by the way, that sudden stop can be so powerful. When we're about to go into the chorus, we want the chorus to sound big, and this is already a very intense song. So it's like, how do you make it sound, bigger? Well, one way is just by cutting out and then coming in with sort of this explosion. Like if we just held out. Like, it wouldn't be as big as that, it wouldn't be as dramatic as that sudden stop, That pause, it's kind of like, it's sort of like the tick before the explosion, dun 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 dun, and then this big explosion when everyone kicks in at the same time and stuff. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're writing a song or if you're playing a song and you have the opportunity to make a section sound big, sometimes it's like, oh, if we all paused here, if we stopped and then came in at the same time, that would sound really good. Now, real quick, before we look at the chorus, I want to show you guys the second pre-chorus. So this is the same section we were just looking at, but it's the later on in the song. So listen to how this second pre-chorus is a little different than the first one. Okay, so we've got that same rhythm, that but notice the other guitar is doing something different now. My guitar continues to play that rhythm, but the other guitar switches to a melody. It goes. Something like that. I haven't played it in a while. And it's a pretty simple melody, just a couple notes going back and forth, but it's something that adds to the intensity. And again, like I said before, like a song like this, how do you help it to continue building? And you have to be, it's not necessarily adding more, but adding something different. So we're already playing low chords, like low, so you don't add something else low, you add something high. So a melody way up here on the neck, that's going to stick out. And playing with those aggressive palm mutes that, you know, and we're pretty much accenting the upbeat, the 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a, yep. It kind of gives like a pulse to everything, kind of adds some intensity and helps it feel like it's building up. And then I think everything else is basically doing the same. I think the drum, or sorry, I think the bass changes its part a little bit. We'll listen one more time, see if there's anything else different. So the bass actually is doing something a little different there. Now what the bass is doing, it's following the kick drum. And the bass and the kick drum are best friends. So instead of accenting those notes like it was before, now the bass is actually muting those notes. It's stopping, so that way it lets the snare cut through. So it's going, well, I guess it's not muting, but it's letting the note ring out and not playing that upbeat. So it's going... And even that almost sounds kind of weird on its own. Like if you heard that on its own, you might not really get the timing. But when you hear that snare there, let's see. That's hard to play and sing at the same time. But so that's the other thing the bass can do. It's kind of like whenever there's a specific beat or hit, you kind of have two choices. You can either add something that is joining that accent and doing the same thing, or you can step back and let that thing have the spotlight, you know? So that's kind of what the bass is doing here. I think because the melody's coming, that new element came in, that melody with the guitar. So now the bass needed to simplify its part a little bit, you know, doing those other notes, that might be, you know, sort of competing a little bit with the guitar. So it's not totally changing, but it's sort of simplifying its part to give the spotlight to that new lead element that came in. So that's something to think about too, you know. Think about what all's going on. If the mix isn't too busy, then maybe there's some room for you to kind of add something, you know. But if a new element comes in, or if someone's got like a melody that they're adding, you might have to kind of step back. And then one other thing, I didn't notice till I was listening. I actually have a choir come in there. There's a little choir that goes, So I'll let you hear that if you didn't catch it the first time. But that's just another background element that's sort of kind of, just kind of adding to the intensity. Yep, Stan says, you know, each break is adding, well, hold on, let me read that again. I see, yeah. Each break lets another instrument add or complete, you know, another instrument and stuff. So yeah, it's like, that's a good way to think of it. It's almost like a puzzle piece, really, you know. The instrument by itself is kind of incomplete, and when you're adding an instrument part to it, you don't just want to add noise. You're trying to think, what can I do that actually complements this? How do I fit with what's already happening? You know, how do I accent what's there? And where's the space for me to shine, you know, with my instrument and stuff? And the more instruments you add, the more strategic you have to be. And usually the simpler the parts need to be. If you have a lot of instruments, everyone needs to be doing something super simple in order to fit together. But with just a few instruments, you know, drums, bass, and guitar, then, you know, it's not too bad usually. Let's see. Let's have a look at that chorus real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. And well, not the whole stream, but we'll wrap up this topic, and I'll move into another song here. So. Okay, so there's something kind of cool happening there. So now we have just a chord progression. We're playing this chord, we're walking up, and then down to this chord, and then this chord. So with that chord progression, you know, you could do like any rhythm, you know. So I could do that. But what's kind of cool is there's a little more space for the other instruments to kind of play around. So the drums have some double kick stuff going on. For those of you who don't know, usually the kick drum has one pedal, but in metal, it's very common for there to be two pedals. So there's two beaters on the drums. That's how you get those really fast and really intense, like, you know, those parts, you know, like, you know, it's a double kick drum, so it's both feet just going, you know, really fast and stuff. So the drums here are kind of playing a simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's got enough room where it can kind of add these little, I think they're triplets. They might be quads, but these little, the double bass is doing this boom, boom, boom. So it's kind of rolling this brah, brah. Listen to that. Listen to the kick drum in the chorus here. Yeah, complement might be a better word, but I think complete's a good word too, because I would agree that certain instrument parts might sound incomplete without the other instrument kind of filling the space. But yes, complement is a good word too. They're listening to each other. So that's one thing the drums are doing. But then what's kind of interesting is when we get to this chord, so this chord right here, I figured out that I could have the drums to, the drums are in sync with the vocals. So here's what's kind of interesting. Now vocals are interesting because a melody almost kind of stands on its own, like a melody kind of comes and goes. It's not super consistent. And so usually the band is providing a foundation for the melody. The band is providing context for the melody. Like if you ever heard someone sing a song and you don't know how the song goes and they're just singing, like you don't know the timing, you don't know what key they're in, you don't know the chord progression underneath. Like melodies almost sound kind of weird when you don't know the song and you're just hearing the voice by itself. So that's why, you know, the band providing a beat and providing a chord progression gives context to what the melody does. But there are times where the melody might sing like a specific rhythm that offers a cool chance for the band to accent. So once again, the band is listening and saying, hey, the melody's doing this, I can accent that by doing this. So in this case, what the song is doing in the chorus, it goes, you told me of a place to call home, a place to call, those hits right there, but bum, bum, bum. Here's what's interesting about that. So we're in a 4 count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But that melody creates what's known as a polyrhythm. A polyrhythm is more than, poly meaning more than one. A polyrhythm is more than one rhythm. So our song is in a 4 count, 1, 2, 3, 4. But when we do that, a place to call, it's like a 3 count, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So when you put that together, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So both rhythms are happening at the same time, and it creates this kind of cool beat. You've got a 4 count and a 3 count happening at the same time. And so that's what the vocals are doing. They're doing that place to call. They're creating that polyrhythm. So the drums can accent that with the kick and the cymbals. Boom, jing, bragaj, boom, 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 ka, boom, boom. You know, so the kick is following the vocals. Boom, 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 ka, boom, boom. A place to call, ka, boom, boom, boom. And then that snare is hitting the other beat. So that influences the other instruments. So now the guitar, I'm not just strumming. When I get to that chord, I'm going to strum on that 3 beat. Like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Hear that? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So I'm still in a 4 count, but I'm following that polyrhythm. So listen for that, the bum, 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 bum. And you might even hear the background vocal singing it. A place to call home. Listen how all that's in sync at that part. Bum 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 bum, you know. So so that's kind of something you want, again, keeping an ear out, hearing opportunities to be in sync. And that just what's so important about that, it's that kind of stuff that makes a song different from any other song, you know, because it's not hard to just take chords, you know. You know, just to take chords, and you can play any beat over that. You could play any bass line over that, and like, you know, there's nothing distinctive about it. There's nothing that sets it apart from anything else. But once you start adding those special things, like listening to, oh, the melody's doing this, let's accent that. Suddenly, the song gains more identity. You know, and it's like, you know, someone could hear that and be like, I know what song you're humming. I know what song you're drumming to. You know, like, I mean, if I just go. Yeah, if I just go, you probably know what song that is. If you know what song that is, leave a comment. So, you know, or again, I did this one earlier, but this song. I'm not even singing anything. I'm not playing any music. I'm just hitting the beat. But that's such a distinctive beat. And so that's kind of what sets certain songs apart is looking for an opportunity to create that specific beat in that specific moment. Let's see what the bass is doing here real quick. So what's kind of interesting is the guitar is strumming the whole time, but the bass isn't going. It is playing the root notes, but it's actually following the kick drum. So it's just going. So again, the guitar is going 1, 2, and a 3. Let's see, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2. Yep. But the bass is going 1, 2, 3. It's following the kick drum. Boom. So again, that's an example of the bass playing the same notes as the guitar, but following more so, you know, in sync with what the drums are doing. And that just creates a powerful foundation for everything. And it leaves room and clarity for the other stuff, too. And then you'll know at the end there, when it goes back into the intro, not feel alone. So that polyrhythm again, would not feel alone. And there the drums are hitting the cymbals, psh, 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 you know, with the kick. So all of that's in sync. So, and then last thing we'll look at, I'll play the second chorus, because the first chorus is cut short, and then the second chorus is extended, and it goes a little bit longer. So we'll listen to that. All right, so what's cool about that second part of the course, that's a good chance to sort of show like how to play the same thing but differently. It's still the chorus, it's still the same chord progression, but something's changed. One, the rhythm's changed, it picked up, so it's no longer the 1, 2, 3, it's 1, 2. It's got that same upbeat rhythm we had from earlier. And now the drums are kind of playing in sync with that. The kick's going the kick's going with the palm mutes, and then those upbeats, it's playing the snare. So kick, 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 snare, kind of like that. And then the drums are also playing on the ride, with the kick. So it's sort of just again accenting those specific rhythms. And then the bass is just following the kick drum, so it's not playing those upbeats. It's just playing the dun 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 dun. Got that delay thing happen again. I wonder if that happens at the same time each stream. Like it's 7 o'clock now, so maybe every 7 o'clock that happens. I'll have to remember to keep an eye out for that. But yeah, so let's listen to that one more time and listen how the bass is just, it's not playing the exact same thing as the guitar. It's just going, oh my gosh, yeah, it's just going. And that almost sounds weird on its own, but as soon as you put those snares in there, let's see, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a... That's hard to count and play at the same time, but yeah. So just kind of listen to what the bass is doing and how it's sort of playing with just the kick drum on the drums, and then how the drums are following the guitar. The kick, 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 snare, snare, kick, 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 snare, kick, snare, kick, 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 snare, kick, snare. Okay. Also, we had the lead guitar come in there. So we've got a new, let's see, it's doing a, yeah, it's doing like this. Up. And remember we talked about polyrhythms earlier? That's what the lead guitar is doing. It's doing that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. When I play it by itself, it sounds like it's in a 3 count. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. But remember, the song's in a 4 count, so it's actually 1. Let's see, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So like some of those hits are happening in between. And again, that was probably influenced from the discovery of the polyrhythm earlier with the would not feel alone, that bum, 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 using that. And now we have a consistent polyrhythm. So listen to the lead guitar, the da-da-da. So it's going to kick in the second time. So we're still in the 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I guess the lesson there is, just to look for opportunities to do something unique. Sometimes it's not the most obvious thing. Sometimes and it depends on the part. If you're wanting a part to stand out a bit more, then you need to find those counter melodies, those polyrhythms, or those things that it's going to be obvious. Because if it were just playing like right on beat, if it were just playing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. It would probably just be covered up by everything else going on. It would just kind of hide in the music. But by playing those distinctive beats, again, it's kind of adding intensity to the song. It's filling in space that isn't taken up by anything else already, and it's more recognizable. It's not being hidden and covered up by something that's already played. And again, it's also in a higher section. It's not down in these low chords where the guitar and the bass are. It's a little bit higher, so it sticks out. So anyway. That's all I'm going to do for the breakdown right now. Hopefully that was kind of, interesting to sort of see how these instruments are working together to create this kind of sound. Please leave a comment and let me know if this was interesting, if it was like, oh, that was really cool. And if you'd like me to do more of that, I can do more breakdowns and we can talk more about that. And again, as far as like topics go, that's kind of my plan, is to just have a segment of the stream about a specific topic. If you have any questions, related to anything I talked about, please leave a question or something else, But I'm going to go ahead and play another song here. Yeah, I'm not sure what's next on the list. Let's see. This next one's called Get Up Again.
Down on the floor, you've been here many times before. You can't ignore the time in hand is running short. No end in sight, and nothing's going right. Why even try? There's nothing left inside. It always hurts to lose what you wanted, but it feels worse to never have tried it. It's not the first and won't be the last time. So get up again. Still holding on, still pushing through this marathon. Give all you've got. There's not much further left to crawl.
By the way, everything we just talked about, try to see if you pick up on anything in this song. Where we're playing in sync and where we're playing complementary of each other.
No end in sight, and nothing's going right. Why even try? There's nothing left inside. It always hurts to lose what you wanted, but it feels worse to never have tried it. It's not the first and won't be the last time. So get up again.
Thank you. Thanks, Stan. Appreciate that. I do think I'll try to do more. I might have gone a little long this evening, but I'm glad you hopefully found it interesting. And yeah, there's a lot to learn from that. And, you know, you can take this, and even when you're listening to music, start really paying attention. Like, how are the instruments complementing each other? You know, kind of listen out for that. If I were to give a goal this week, you know, I'd say, you know, listen to music and listen, how are they complementing each other? Notice what the bass and the drums are doing, how the drums are complementing, you know, the guitars or the vocals or whatever it might be. That second song I just played was kind of another example. Again, the drum beat, and especially in that little solo, the solo was inspired by the guitar riff, you know, because the melody is in sync with what the guitar is doing there. You know, so yeah, that's just another example of how the instruments can influence each other. So yeah, cool stuff. I'm glad you find it helpful, Stan. Let's see, I'm going to get tuned here. I've got one more song I'm going to play. And Stan, I really appreciate you showing up. You know, you've been to just about every stream. And so you know that... Give me a second. Sounds pretty good. So you know that sometimes we've got, you know, a bit of a gang here. You know, we've got like a group and lots of chat, lots happening. And sometimes, you know, it kind of feels like we're, you know, kind of like in one of those deserted towns where like the tumbleweeds going, you know, that's kind of what it feels like when you do a stream and no one's watching. So, yeah, so too bad, you know, no one really showed up for this stream. Hopefully maybe we'll get some people watching on the replay. That's kind of a hope of mine, is that by doing more topical videos, and I'm still trying to tweak and refine how to implement it, but hopefully by doing more topical videos, maybe you know, people searching for it might come across it easier rather than something random. I think we got Daniel there. Hey, about time. No worries, Daniel. We know that that you had work and stuff, but always appreciate you stopping by. Stan and I were just talking about how we missed you. We were just saying, you know, when every now and then we'll have like these good streams where it's like a pretty good group and we have some good conversation, and then this stream's been a little bit. I was saying it was kind of like in a western, like a deserted town with the tumbleweed going by and stuff, and that's kind of how it feels when you're streaming to no one. It's been mainly me and Stan. Logan stopped by for a little bit. But Daniel, always good to have you. We were talking a bit about instrument arrangement, so you know, I don't know if I'm going to have time to dive into all that again. But you might have to look back at the replay and check that out, and give me your thoughts on that. One thing I'm kind of trying to do, I'd mentioned before about doing topics, but instead of doing like the whole stream on the topic, I think I'm just going to do it for a segment, like in the middle of the stream and stuff. And that's sort of what I did tonight. You know, played a few songs, and then in the middle, actually used one of my songs as an example to talk about instrument arrangement. So, yeah. Stan, glad you think tuning sounds cool. All I'm doing there is just using harmonics. So it's a little trick. There's these certain spots on the guitar that make a pitch that matches. Like, it's the same note. It's like an octave higher, but it's the same note. Yeah, it's an octave higher. but and it matches the like the fifth, I guess the fifth harmonic matches the seventh harmonic on the next string. So if you get those two in sync, usually that's a good sign that you're in tune. You could do it on the next two strings. I think this one doesn't work. No, that one works. And then the next one doesn't work. And that's because that B string's tuned a little bit differently than the others. But then the B and the E string work. So that's kind of a good little method to, like when most of your guitar's in tune and you just need to get like a couple strings in tune, that can be helpful. But yep. Daniel, since you showed up, I've got one more song I was going to play. But if you want to hear a song, I'm certainly willing to play a song for you. Tonight, so far, I have played Brothers to the End. That's what I opened with. And then I played A Place to Call Home, which that was the song that I kind of broke it down, and we were talking about the verses in that song. Well, I tuned differently. I'll have to tune back. But we were talking about the verses in that song and the pre-chorus and the chorus, and sort of talking about how the instruments influence each other. Like they're not just playing on beat. They're actually listening to what the other parts are doing. So like the drums are being influenced by the guitar rhythm, and that's going to choose like where it hits the snare at. And the bass is kind of like a bridge between the guitar and the drums. And even the vocals, certain vocal melodies, the drums might kind of follow because they create this sort of polyrhythm sound, and then everything sort of follows on the same beat that the vocals are singing for a brief moment. So yeah, that was the second one. I just played Get Up Again, and maybe I'm forgetting one. Let me see what else I got. Because I think I've only played 3 songs. I might have a 4th song, actually. 1 second. Actually, you guys are in luck. I got 2 more songs for you, so you didn't miss the whole stream. I was like, yeah, I felt like I was missing one. I actually skipped a song. I meant to do the song you guys were all waiting for. This one's called Waiting. Yeah, give me a second. I got to get tuned again. So now, oh boy. Hey, check 1, 2. Oh, there we go. Okay, I thought something weird happened. All right, so when I'm tuning back to drop D, I just hit the D string, hit the octave here, harmonic, and tune down. Back up, and try to get those in sync. Oh, that's pretty good. Nope, that's worse. Well, thanks, Daniel. Yeah, if you do end up rewatching the stream, let me know what you think of the segment in the middle. I might have gone a little long. Again, I was trying to condense it some because I like how these streams, like when we do have a lot of people, how they can be very conversational and stuff, you know. And so I didn't want to lose that, but I do like, you know, having the topics where I can, you know, share what I've learned with music, and we can kind of have discussion about it. And I think Stan found it pretty interesting. I think he learned a few things tonight, and even Logan sounded like he was kind of picking up on some stuff. So I like that part of it, but again, I don't want that to take away from just having good old conversation and hanging out and stuff. But you'll have to check it out, see what you think, and you know, if it inspires any questions of your own, or you know, something you'd like to hear about, you know, yeah, just let me know. Yes, one day, Stanley. All right, got a song for y'all. This one's called Waiting.
This is where we are. Where else have we been? Circle is
Okay. So I could have sworn I fixed that backing track. For those of you who heard the song before, you know that at that little part it goes, and it's got those harmonics in there. I could have sworn I fixed that. Maybe I made it but didn't switch it in the project, or I forgot to save or something. I don't know. So I got to write that down and make sure I get that fixed. And so I was trying to throw them in there. I was trying to get those harmonics in there, and then it threw off my solo. So here, this is my apology. I'll play the solo for you. Yeah, so missed that sweeping section. So yeah, I'll get that fixed. Sorry about that, guys. That's right, Daniel. Thanks for noticing. Yep, got haircut. Actually got it just after the stream. Not right after, but the next day on Friday. So been sporting it for almost a week now, but I just kind of like to... I only get a haircut like every 9 months. I don't know why. I just so I guess it's more convenient. You know, I don't have to make the trip out like every couple months and stuff. And thankfully, like I've got pretty... I don't mean this in a conceited way. I've got hair that looks okay when it's longer, you know? Like some of my family, like when their hair gets long, it kind of just gets kind of bushy, so they kind of have to get it cut. And thankfully, like I can sort of sport it when it's got some length to it. So that's just what I do. I get it cut short, and I'll let it grow out, and then once it starts to annoy me, I get it cut short again and then start all over. But thanks, appreciate that, and sounds good. Sounds like you're getting your haircut pretty soon too. So Stan, join the club. Go get a haircut. Actually, I'm pretty sure your hair is quite short already. On the last stream, do you mean the harmonics or the topic? Can't remember exactly, but yeah, there was. I'm sure I've repeated myself on some streams. I think the last stream we were talking about like band stuff, so I'm assuming you're talking about something else. Because yeah, the topic for this stream was more about instrument arrangement. You know, not forming a band or anything like that. All right, looks like Stan's joining the club too because he says he needs a haircut. So awesome. We'll all be looking pretty fresh. So. All right, so now I can get tuned back into standard for the last song when I do go to play it. So again, just using those harmonics. And you can hear it's like wum wum. There we go. When they're like in sync and they kind of sound like one note almost, you know. Daniel, I had asked a question at the beginning of the stream. If you could join any pre-existing band, what band would you want to join? I thought that was kind of a fun question. It's actually kind of tough because, like, obviously I want to join someone whose music I like, but I'm also trying to think of someone that I feel like I would be a good fit for, you know, and I'd get along with the other musicians and stuff. So I was thinking like maybe I would join Chevelle because right now they used to be a 3-piece. I think they're just a 2-piece. So like, hey, I'd be willing to play bass for Chevelle. You know, like that'd be cool. I like their music, and yeah, I think that'd be kind of a fun duo to team up with. And maybe Extol. I just love their music. I think that'd be a cool band. Although they are kind of on a hiatus right now. Flyleaf would be a band that I would like to join, but again, I don't even think they exist anymore. I think they, you know, disbanded a while back. Maybe they'll have a reunion at some point, but yeah, I don't know. And there's probably other good ones. I hadn't really thought of it. I asked the question, but then I was like, man, I don't know which bands I would want to join. Those are kind of like the top few. One of my favorite bands is Killswitch Engage, but I actually don't know if I'd want to join their band and stuff. As much as I get a kick. It's kind of interesting, like, just certain personalities and stuff. And, like, I love their music, and I love the guys of Killswitch Engage, but, like, I've seen, like, footage of them, like, just kind of their some of their behavior and thoughts, and I feel like I could be friends with them, but not bandmates with them, if that makes sense. You know, it's like I think we're just on two different wavelengths, and so yeah, so I think that's what makes the question interesting. Is not just joining a band for the music, but also kind of knowing the individuals behind the music, and just knowing if you would click well with them, and you know, have a productive creative session with them. Certainly would love to collaborate with Killswitch Engage, or like with Adam D or something like that. But yeah, that'd be sweet. Yeah, I had mentioned it before, and yeah, I did go back and tweak some of these backing tracks, and that's what's bugging me. I could have sworn I got that fixed. I'm actually going to make a note of it right now so I don't forget. But yeah, got to get those harmonics back in there. And yeah, if you've heard the song before, bum bum bum, just like that. And it's just amazing how like it doesn't sound awful, you know. It's just this like dramatic pause, but it's almost a little too much, you know. Like I like the harmonics in there. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I wonder, I mean, I'm sure you've probably looked up already. I wonder, is there any kind of, I mean, I don't know, maybe that was before they were like super big and stuff, so maybe they wouldn't have had much behind the scenes stuff, but um, unless they did something like afterwards. But I wonder if there is some kind of like little mini documentary or something on that lineup, or on that album and stuff, and how they recorded that. But that's pretty cool. Yeah, I know you to be to like quite a bit of Megadeth and stuff. So, and from what I've heard of your playing, yeah, you'd probably be a good fit for a band like that. Yep. Which I don't know about you. I'm not the biggest fan of substance abuse. You know, I definitely don't look down on anyone who is into that. But just from my ex- well, I shouldn't say experience, but my observation and stuff, just I've never really seen any benefit or appeal to that. And it actually my opinions on substance abuse have very little to do with my faith or anything like that. And like that has some influence, but really just I've never really seen much good. I've seen more bad come out of that kind of thing than good and stuff. And so I don't think it's worth messing with. And that's kind of the unfortunate thing. There are a lot of talented musicians out there who make great music, and but yeah, and some of them even think that they need that, and I'm not so sure that that's true. And it's amazing how people can get their identity wrapped so up, get wrapped up in that so much. I had just heard of band members who were abusing something, whether it was alcohol or some kind of substance, and then they recover from it, but then they're not really the same person anymore. They're kind of someone new, and that creates sort of this weird click with the band and stuff. So I don't know. It's certainly an interesting thing and stuff. But Daniel, thought I'd let you know. First off, thank you for your support. And I have been working on Say That It's Over. I'm hoping, and I'll let you know this, but I'm hoping that it's going to be my next release. I'm aiming for early March. I don't know if I'm going to hit that date, but that's what I'm aiming for. And I have edited the guitars, and I've pretty much got the mix done, but I still need to record the vocals for it. So I'm hoping to do that Saturday. I got to record the vocals, and then I'll have to edit the vocals and then get them in the mix. And once I do that, there's still a bit more work. I have to come up with an album cover, which, by the way, I thought I'd even ask you guys. I don't know if y'all have an idea for an album cover for that song, Say That It's Over. I have like a few ideas. Usually I try to do photography with my album covers, just because, you know, I don't have much access to like graphic art, that kind of thing. And I thought it would be something, you know, with how I'm trying to brand myself as a solo artist, anytime I can do a picture of myself, you know, like bands don't do that. Bands usually have like album artwork. And, you know, since I'm a solo artist and I'm kind of trying to stand out a little bit, I think that's something I can do is just you know, like photography and kind of, you know, showing the artist. And usually solo artists do that anyway. Usually they're on the front of the cover and stuff. But so I'm not sure. Say That It's Over. That's a song, you know, in case y'all were wondering. It's basically a song about a friend of mine who found herself in a bit of trouble, and you know, she was my best friend, and I was just trying to. Just wanted to help her, you know, like even though she was kind of going through this hard time, she had made a mistake, a pretty big mistake, and I think she kind of cut everyone off. And I thought, well, I'm her best friend, she'll let me through, but unfortunately she kind of cut me off too, and you know, I didn't want to point the finger at her or anything. I just wanted to be there to kind of help her through it and comfort her and let her know that I still, you know, was her friend and stuff. And it just hurts when, you know, that's the thing about love is you can give love, you don't always get it back. And it hurts when you want to help someone and they won't let you. And so that's kind of what that song's about. It's just, you know, please say it's over. Please, you know, let me inside to help you again. And so, so if that sparks any ideas for what the album cover might be, you know, certainly let me know. Yep, Stan mentioned a couple bands he'd like to join, and yeah, and that's true too. You know, sometimes artists grow and stuff. You know, when they're younger, they kind of get into that stuff, and then they sort of find themselves in a better place. So that's you know, happy. You know, it's nice that they kind of grow out of that a bit, and yeah, glad that you're excited for it. But yeah, you know, so still a little bit of work to do, but again, aiming for some time in March to release it, and I'm going to release it with a one-man band video. So that's how you'll know when it's released. You'll see on my YouTube channel, I'll have a one-man band video of me performing the song. So, yep, you can look forward to that. Got one last song for you guys, and I guess you know, this goes on. Actually, what I was just talking about a second ago, the song is kind of on topic about that. The song is called "Love's Not Fair," and I like that title because I think it's a little deceptive. Like when you first hear it, you think, love's not fair. Like it almost sounds like a complaint, like, oh, that's not fair, you know, like, you know, why don't they love me? Or, you know, but actually, it's not a complaint. It's like a fact. Love, that's what love is. Love is not fair. Because when you actually love someone, especially when we're talking unconditional love, you know, you're undeserving of it. But for someone to show you that love, specifically like the kind of love that God shows, you know, where no matter what you do, like, I love you, you know, and it's not fair. You know, you might make mistakes, you might mess up, and you might feel like you're not deserving of love, but he still loves you anyway. And you can't earn it. That's just the way it is. And it might not be fair. You might not be deserving of it, but that's why it's love, because love's not fair. So that's kind of why the song is called that. But yep, going to play this one for you guys, and then we'll probably call it a wrap soon. So love's not fair.
Staring at my own reflection through shattered bits of glass, showing me the perfect picture of who I really am. But when you look at me, you never turn away. kneeling next to me and picking up the pieces. Why do you care? I know I'm undeserving of the love that you have chosen to share. It's just not fair. I am such a useless failure, falling to the ground. Every effort that I muster is never good enough. But when you look at me, standing next to me and holding out your hand, why do you care? I know I'm undeserving of the love that you have chosen to share. It's just not fair. If I take just one moment away from my self-loathing, then maybe I would notice that I'm not meant to be broken. If I take just one moment away from my self-loathing, then maybe I would notice that I'm not meant to be broken. So stop beating up myself. You took the punishment yourself. And it's just foolish pride to think that I could ever hurt myself enough to cover what I've done. I could cut myself dry and it still would never be enough. Makes no sense at all. Why do you care? I know I'm undeserving of the love that you have chosen to share. It's just not fair. But love isn't fair. Of all I am, you chose to die for me, and that isn't fair. But love's not fair.
Thanks, Stan. I appreciate that. Appreciate you guys. I really enjoy you guys stopping by and being able to chat and yeah, continuing to just kind of learn and try to improve as these streams go along and stuff. And I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're having a good, I think we're still in winter technically, but spring's a coming, and so I hope you guys have a good spring, and I hope the year's looking up for both of you. And yeah, just pray in comfort and peace and blessing for you guys. And yeah, thanks for stopping by. So, and when watching on the replay or watching live, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with me. If you'd like to support me, I've got a link in the description with a virtual tip jar, and I certainly appreciate any of that. If you don't have the financial means to support me, my biggest goal right now is to build an audience, so it really helps just to join my email list. I've got a link for that. And just to subscribe to the channel and share the videos, share them with your friends, invite people to come, especially to the streams and stuff. And yeah, that'd be a big help to me, just liking the video and all that kind of stuff. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to check out a few more comments here, and then that's going to be a wrap for stream number 29. So that's going to be it. Until next time. Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate the applause.